Hello, this is Mesos Orem, and welcome to SFML tutorials. Today, we'll be constructing a stars class. First, we'll make a .h file. We'll name it stars. Then we'll make a .c++ file. Also name it stars. Here we will sharp include stars.h. Then we will go over to stars.h. We will sharp include sprites.h, as well as sharp include randomize.h. We will make our class stars, which will as usual have private and public. We'll make our constructor, which will say stars, which will take in SF vector2f window size, as well as our usual deconstructor. We will need a vector to hold all of our stars, so we will say standard vector sprites star and stars. We will call our randomize class randomize star randomize. We will want to know how many stars we want on screen, so unsigned int num stars. We'll want to first initialize our randomize class, so we will say void init randomize. Then we'll want to initialize our stars, void init stars, which will take in our window size. We'll want to update every frame, so we will say void update and take in a float of delta time. Lastly, we'll want to render, void render, and take in SF render window and window. We will quickly define these. Then we can clean up quickly. In init randomize, we will just say randomize equals new randomize. In init stars, we will say num stars equals 50. We'll make a for loop to go through all the stars. For unsigned int I equals 0. I is less than num stars plus I. Every loop we will push a new star onto the vector, so we will say stars dot pushback new sprites, which will have an input of sprites slash stars dot png with a size of 8 by 8. We will need to put a star at a random place on our screen, so we will say randomize dot randomize float, which will go from 0.0f to window size dot x. Then we will declare an x position, float x equals randomize dot randomf. Then we will do this for a y. So we will just paste that and change these both to y's. Then we will set this star's position to our random x and y coordinate, stars dot at I dot set position x by y. We want the rate at which stars twinkle and the starting frame for each star to be different. So we will say randomize dot randomize float between 0.7f and 2.3f. And since we have 6 frames, we will say randomize dot randomize int between 0 and 6. Now we will set our stars frame timer. We'll say stars at I dot textures dot set frame timer max. This will take in randomize dot randomf. We will need another for loop to go to the specific frame we want, so we will say for int j equals 0. J is less than randomize dot random I plus I. Then we'll animate through a sprite stars at I dot animate, and that will take in a randomize dot randomf. Scrolling down a bit, in our constructor, we'll init randomize, as well as initialize our stars. Init stars window size. When everything's done, we'll want to delete our stars, so we'll say for int I equals 0, I is less than stars dot size plus plus I. In here we'll want to delete our stars out the vector, so we'll say delete stars dot add I. Then we'll want to free up space on the vector, so we will say stars dot erase stars dot begin plus I. Down in update, we can just copy this, put that down there. Then we will say stars dot add I dot animate with delta time as an input. In render, we will paste that same for loop down. Then we will say window dot draw stars dot add I. Back in our SpaceRocks.h file, we will say sharp include stars.h. Here we will call our stars class stars stars. We want to initialize our stars. We'll say void init stars with an input of SF vector 2f window size. Then we will define that. We will say stars equals new stars with an input of our window size. We want to initialize our stars in our constructor init stars with our input of our window size. We'll also delete our stars at the end of the game. Down here we will update our stars.update with an input of our delta time. Lastly, in render, we will say stars.render with an input of our window. Now we will save everything. I've noticed I made an error. This should be a J, not an I. Now we can enter the debug menu. We see that we have stars that twinkle at different paces and start at different times. Thank you for joining me today. If you did, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.